Now, if you're selling a small house or you live in a small house and you're trying to stage it just to make it more usable, it can really feel like a challenge. But with the right strategies, you can really make any space feel bigger, brighter, and more inviting. And this doesn't matter if you're selling the house or you just want to make it more usable and appealing. So these are the tips from a real estate broker who's done this for over 20 years, been in a lot of houses, seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. So without further ado, here are the 6 strategies that you can use to stage your house if it's small and keep it under budget. Number 6, having proper lighting. Now, if your rooms feel dark and cramped, and they're gonna feel smaller, right? So think about lighting, it's absolutely crucial. So you wanna start by upgrading even the basic outdated fixtures with something that's a little bit more stylish and eye-catching. And I explained in a previous video on how you can get layered lighting to actually work well for you, really pretty cheap. But basically, this combines different types of light that'll create a depth and a balance in a room. So if you want ambient lighting, an overall light to light up the room, or task lighting for specific activities like reading or working at a desk, or even accent lighting that's going to highlight special features of your home, things like walls and artwork and architectural details. So if your home doesn't get much natural light, use artificial light that's actually going to mimic the effect of natural light. So the key to using this is warm tone bulbs. You want to think about it. Go into a new home, you see recessed lighting. It's a great option for a small room. But putting along the edges or a ceiling or in the corners, make your eyes point to that direction, look up or to the side, which instantly will create a room that seems to feel more tall or more open. And that's a simple trick that makes a lot of difference. So in small areas like hallways or narrow rooms or wall-mounted sconces, they may be a good option, or even a light that's in the ceiling pointing down. So think about it, like if you have a big table lamp, it's going to take up valuable space on that floor or on a table. But wall lights, they actually save space while, making the room look a little bit wider and more appealing. But bulky table lamps, sconces actually free up floor and table space, and it's going to add the style and functionality. Number 5 is furniture placement. Now, you've all seen the shows on TV where they move furniture around and they're like, oh my gosh, it looks like a different room. This is where your place is going to look completely different, where you put your furniture in a room. It also plays a super big role. So if you have that balance between the functionality and the sense of openness, less is more in this case. So one mistake a lot of people make is pushing all their furniture right up against the walls. Although it creates more floor space, sometimes it makes that room feel more cramped or like a box, a square. So a common trick is to make small rooms feel bigger is to leave a small gap between your furniture and the walls. Just even a few inches is good enough. However, this is not a hard and fast rule. Just think about it. If you have a small, tiny room, certain types of furniture make more sense to have in there if they are flush up against the wall. But again, less is more in this consideration. Now you also want to think about the flow. So you want to make sure that there's at least 30 inches of clearance around furniture pieces like beds and sofas and dining tables. And you just want to use your eye to measure to see what really fits right. If it doesn't look right, it doesn't look right, right? So the purpose is to create a good flow that you can easily walk through that room without bumping into things. Next are the corners of the room. Now you really want to think about this because you could add a slim console table or a tall corner shelf, and you can get that stuff on Amazon for like $40, but it can really provide extra space vertically without making that room feel too crowded. And you want to remember that less is more again in small space. So stick with the essential furniture pieces that you will actually need and use. And you want to make sure you're not overcrowding the room with too many items, even knickknacks and little accents. Otherwise, the room does look more cramped. Number 4 is minimize clutter. Now I've got videos here on this channel about that, but this is absolutely essential because no matter what size your home is, even big homes run into a clutter problem. So if you put your house on the market for sale, you really got to declutter it for the next owner to visualize what their stuff's going to look like in that house. Potential buyers, they need to imagine themselves living in that space as they walk through, not you. So a clean, airy atmosphere with a minimalist decor, it's important in creating that connection with that next homeowner. So people naturally feel comfortable in a neat space, and that's exactly what buyers are looking for. So if you just started out and you start decluttering a room or even a wardrobe or a closet, decluttering doesn't mean just shoving stuff from one place to another into the closets and into the drawers. You want to sort through these categories, right? There's 3 categories really. It's the keep, the donate, and the toss. And that kind of makes it really simple because the process can be less overwhelming and it keeps you focused on what you really need to do here. Again, I made a big video on this and it's really going to help you, so check it out and I'll link it in the comments. But number 3 is using vertical space. Now, we tend to focus on the floor. When we go into a room, you're looking around, right? People don't usually look up unless it's really tall. So we tend to focus on the floor, but if the house is small and you've got items stored around, you want to completely make sure that you get this vertical space open. So apart from this, a good way to create this sense of height is you have to do it the right way. So again, using a tall bookshelf or shelving units, it's a great way to add storage, but really what you're doing is if you don't have that closet or storage space, you can actually store it and it's not clutter. But choosing the right size of this and the style of this for your room is really important because you can get a bookshelf that's really too bulky and actually make the room look like, oh my gosh, it's being overpowered, it's really small. So you want to look for slim, open shelving units or bookshelves that fit snugly against the wall. So another tip is to hang curtains higher on a window. So you look at the window frame, right? You can actually go up above the window. You don't have to be in the box of the window. So instead of just hanging them right on that window frame, consider taking that curtain rod up a couple more inches above the window frame, and it makes that window look longer when the drapes or whatever you have is appearing to be a longer shape. So if you have fabric, how those drapes play, it really depends on what that room is really going to look like, and you want to choose the lighter colors. So if you go with darker drapes, again, it kind of closes that space in. Lighter fabrics, simple drapes, they tend to work better in a small space. And for kitchens, you think about this open shelving idea. So it provides extra storage and display space without making that kitchen feel like boxed in, like the traditional upper cabinets do sometimes. You know, you feel like, oh my gosh, this thing's coming in on me. So style those shelves with a mix of everyday dishes or glassware or decorative items like plants, and they can actually make it visually appealing. You don't want to make it look cluttered. Again, but this may not work for everybody, especially if you have a lot of kitchen clutter that you want to hide. So in most cases, a traditional kitchen cabinet is really the best choice. And number 2 is create that flow and consistency throughout the house. Now first, let's talk about colors. In an open floor plan, it's really crucial to stick with a constant color scheme throughout, right? Because this doesn't mean that every wall needs to be the exact same shade, but the colors should complement each other. So for the flooring, think about the same flooring material throughout the house. If you have it all broken up, it kind of looks like it's not connected. It's the easiest way to create a unified look. And luxury vinyl planks, LVP, is really a great choice because they're durable, they're not that expensive, they reflect a natural light, and they're affordable compared to completely tiling or putting in hardwood floors. And for most homeowners, it works for their house. So if you're not planning to sell, rugs can do this job. So choose a rug that matches the flooring tone and the colors and maintain consistency with a cozy touch. Now again, you can go with a contemporary style if you want to get a little bit more modern look, or you can go with more traditional look. But using the right flooring materials, like tile in the kitchen, which is traditional, or wood in the living room, those are similar tones that people agree to and they like, right? So if you are selling that house, this is one of those things you want to consider what the next homeowner really likes. Flush transitions between these materials, you want to avoid breaking up the flow between rooms. Just make sure it's flowing throughout the house. So remember a good eye here, use your eye when you're going through the house. You want to go smoothly from one space to the other. Now, whether it's the colors, the flooring, or even the placement of the furniture, create that flow that I was talking about in the beginning of this, is because this consistency, it makes for a small house to feel more spacious and well-designed. And number 1, this is used for years. It's not anything new, but the use of mirrors for light and space, it can really open something up for you, because a mirror is one of the most common tricks that people use when they're staging a small space. A lot of people do this in condos, but if you have to be careful about this placement because light can really do a lot of things. So you want to start by placing a large mirror directly opposite a window, because this natural light is going to bounce back into the room. And for smaller spaces, the horizontal mirrors can do wonders for a room. It's visually stretching that room out, and it makes it feel wider than it actually is. And in a small dining room area or a hallway, mirrors can actually open up, and lighter tones can give it a more modern, a super clean look, while actually boosting that sense of space. Now, one thing you need to keep in mind here is avoid reflecting clutter, because if that mirror is bouncing back an image of a messy shelf or overcrowded table, 2 times as bad, because it's reflecting and doubling the visual chaos, right? Instead of enhancing that room. So just keep that in mind. So your focus should be on highlighting what you would want to draw attention to, like that piece of art or the decor. So always position mirrors to amplify light or openness. So now, not every tip here today is going to work for everybody or in every situation or home. Houses are all unique, and I've been in thousands and thousands of homes, but what works in one space may not work the best choice in another. But remember this, if you're selling, staging really is part of that process. It's what really makes the difference in understanding what's trending in your local market, because what's happening here may not be happening there. You just got to really keep up to date, and that's where hiring a skilled realtor really is essential, because a good realtor in your local market is going to know exactly what buyers are looking for today. They're going to know what's going to sell your house and what you need to do to make your house stand out. And that's really what's important. So if you're thinking about buying or selling property in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, here where I am, or anywhere else in the United States, we can hook you up with that local real estate expert. We want to make sure that you're not getting average. We want to make sure you're getting way above average when you plan to do this. So just give our office a call at 843-839-9870. If you didn't already know this, I'm Jerry with Jerry Pinkas Real Estate Experts, guys. My team is here to help you to avoid those pitfalls that are costly and to find your hidden gem. And, we've been doing this for the last 20 years. We've helped thousands and thousands of people. And if you're not planning to sell, don't worry about that, because many of these tips still will help you maximize your space and create that home that's more functional and enjoyable. And at the end of the day, this is really what it's all about, right? When you live somewhere, you want to live there, right? It's about making your small home work for you in the best way possible. So you've watched this video here to the end. Make sure you hit that like button, share your thoughts, go ahead and make comments, share this with somebody you know who could use it. So if you never want to miss one of these helpful selling videos, remember to ring that bell. See you in the next episode.